A scream shattered the silence of the night. In a small town, the sound echoed through rooftops, unsettling those who were fast asleep. No one knew what was happening, but one thing was clear: something was terribly wrong. As the streetlights flickered, a single question filled everyone's hearts: what is going on? Ellie Parker sat in her small room at the nursing home, taking a deep breath. Her radio softly played an old jazz tune. Though her eyes were closed, she wasn't sleeping. When the cry pierced through her thoughts, her eyes snapped open. The sound of children crying brought back haunting memories. Ellie had spent years trying to forget those cries, but she never could. Her mind drifted back to the 1960s, to the dark day where it all began. In her memories, a little boy appeared in front of a small, dusty house, Daniel, his eyes filled with fear. Ellie had failed to silence his cries back then. Now, it was time to revisit the beginning of it all. Daniel was a 10-year-old African-American boy from a poor family. His father worked in the town's cotton fields, and his mother washed laundry for wealthy families. Despite their efforts, they struggled to put food on the table. Daniel's only dream was to become a teacher and lift his family out of poverty. But the town where Daniel lived was steeped in prejudice. At school, white and black children were separated into different classrooms. Even though Daniel was a bright student, his teachers barely noticed him. His classmates teased him relentlessly, and the shadow of discrimination loomed over every corner of the town. One day, while walking home from school, Daniel was ambushed by a group of white boys. They beat him, tore up his books, and left him on the ground. That day, Daniel felt the crushing weight of helplessness and despair. The town remained silent. No one dared to speak out against the injustice. Daniel chose not to tell his mother what had happened. He held back his tears and went to bed quietly that night. But his mother noticed his bruises. This event became a turning point for the family. Daniel's mother realized she had to fight for her son's future. Ellie was a young teacher in the town back then. Unlike many, she noticed Daniel's intelligence and determination. Yet, she was too afraid of societal backlash to openly support him. On the day of the incident, Ellie witnessed Daniel being attacked but lacked the courage to intervene. That moment haunted her for years. Determined to make amends, Ellie began to support Daniel in small ways. She gave him books and prepared extra assignments for him to complete at home. However, the town's deep-seated racism stood in the way of her efforts. Even so, her quiet determination caught the attention of Daniel's mother, who eventually approached her. Daniel's mother pleaded, "I need your help to give my son a future." For Ellie, this was a turning point. She realized she couldn't remain a passive observer. She decided to actively fight for Daniel's dreams. Ellie found a scholarship program that could help Daniel. To secure the scholarship, she had to submit a petition to the school board. This caused an uproar in the town. The white community saw this as a threat to their perceived superiority. Ellie faced the risk of losing her job and being ostracized. Despite the odds, Daniel passed the scholarship exam. However, a group of white townspeople organized a protest outside the school. On that day, hateful words echoed through the streets against Daniel and his family. Yet, Daniel refused to give up. Ellie helped Daniel's family relocate to a nearby town where he could pursue a better education. Years later, Daniel became a renowned lawyer, fighting for justice. His success became Ellie's greatest source of pride. Yet, the town remained entangled in its prejudice, even after Daniel left. Ellie sat in a small room at the nursing home, staring at an old, yellowed letter on her desk. Her hands trembled as she opened it, the weight of years bearing down on her. It had been a long time since anyone had written to her like this. As she unfolded the letter, she felt herself transported back in time. The carefully written words on the paper carried the familiar voice of someone she knew well. "Ellie, because of you, I stand here today as a lawyer fighting for justice. If you hadn't stood up for me, I wouldn't be here. You didn't just give me hope. You gave me courage and the strength to persevere. Thank you endlessly." Tears welled up in Ellie's eyes, falling onto the edge of the letter. She closed her eyes and pictured Daniel as a boy clutching a tattered book, his eyes filled with fear, but his heart ignited with a spark. She remembered the helplessness she felt when she first saw him, but also the light she had seen within him. Every word in the letter reminded Ellie of her life's struggles to do what was right, even when it scared her. Daniel, through his resilience and success, had changed not only his life, but also Ellie's. Ellie walked to the window, outside. In the nursing home's garden, a group of children played. Their laughter softened the echoes of past cries. Ellie thought about Daniel's childhood. If only he could have laughed like these children, how different his life might have been. That Daniel had still triumphed, thanks to her efforts. She whispered to herself, "Justice begins when we listen to a child's cry." But true justice lies in refusing to stay silent after hearing it. Ellie read the letter again, feeling a sense of pride and peace she hadn't felt in years. Daniel, once just a helpless boy, was now a lawyer giving voice to the voiceless. This thought warmed her heart. Even in the twilight of her life, she knew she had made a difference. Placing the letter on her desk, Ellie took a deep breath and gazed out of the window. One of the children playing in the garden looked up and smiled at her. Ellie smiled back, a quiet sense of fulfillment washing over her. In that moment, she realized life's greatest victory is changing the course of a child's future. That single cry had sparked a movement of justice, one life at a time. This story is a powerful reminder of how small actions can lead to profound changes. It highlights the fight against poverty, discrimination, and injustice, showing that courage and compassion can transform lives. Ellie's bravery changed one life, perhaps even the world. If this story inspired you, subscribe to our channel for more emotional and impactful stories and share your thoughts in the comments. Let's be the voice of justice together.